Hi everybody, thank you for joining me on the Fool's Journey Tarot. Today is Thursday, March 26th, 2020. And I'm steering a little bit away from my weekly tarot readings for just a short period of time because I thought that it might be important to maybe address the situation that we're all dealing with right now around the world regarding this COVID-19 virus that has a lot of people homebound, staying out of the stores, staying out of work, avoiding travel, that kind of thing. And it's, you know, the situation's created a lot of anxiety for people, of course. It's something that most of us, if not all of us, have ever dealt with before. And I almost did this a couple days ago when I returned from my trip because I was thinking a lot about it. I took a trip, it was about a 9-hour drive to visit some family because my sister had a baby on March 10th. And so I went to visit family and of course see the new baby. And I left on the 13th. And while I was there, about a day after I arrived, after meeting my new niece for the first time, the schools closed down in the area. And kids were asked to stay at home and teachers were asked to start teaching remotely through online lessons and that sort of thing. And so things started to get, you know, a little bit weird from there. And of course, you know, we went shopping and looked for food, and my mom, I was staying with my mom at the time, and she was concerned about being able to find water and toilet paper. So we went shopping a few times, and of course, lo and behold, the shelves were empty. And, you know, we talked a lot about what this meant and how long it would take for us to see this pass and that kind of thing. And I did end up cutting my trip a little bit short. I came back about 3 days earlier than planned because I just didn't want to get stuck away from home. And my son was back at home, and I didn't want him to be alone without anybody around to support him just in case things got bad. So the trip actually went really well, and the trip back went really well. And although there was lots of trucks on the road, which is usual, there wasn't a lot of traffic. And the gas prices didn't go up, and the gas stations didn't close down, which was what my fear was, that I wasn't going to be able to fuel up and get home. So it ended up being a really nice trip, and I saw my family, and I'm glad I went. So as you can tell, obviously I'm back home and things are back to normal, and my son is still working full time, and I'm retired, so I stay at home anyway, and this is kind of my usual mode of operating. I don't tend to leave my house a lot, so this isn't unusual for me, and I don't feel a lot of stress surrounding it. But I know that a lot of people are worried about it. A lot of people are out of work. Some people's hours have been cut. Some people have been laid off altogether. You know, there's talk of relief coming from the government and that sort of thing. And I don't watch a lot of the news. I try to stay away from that because, frankly, I used to watch the news 24/7, and it started to get too much for me. And I started to get annoyed with it. And so I just kind of stopped watching it. So I still do watch occasional news reports, especially on YouTube, or live reports when I see the president talking and that sort of thing, just to keep up. But I like to also depend on what I intuitively know to be true. And that is that I believe that Spirit is going to take care of us, and that the universe has our back, and we are being guided and watched and protected by a greater power. And so I don't feel fear. I may feel anxious once in a while. You know, I may feel a little bit worried once in a while, but I don't generally cling to fear. And if I do find myself feeling that way, I try to talk myself out of it, or I pull out a deck of cards and I do a reading for myself, and that usually eases my mind. So I decided today, you know, kind of while I was talking about this, to maybe pull out the cards and just see what Spirit had to say about this whole situation. And I don't know if I'll get a lot of views or if people are interested. But I thought, you know what, why not? See what happens. See what we get in the tarot cards. This obviously isn't a specific sign reading. my intention is to not necessarily answer questions or clear things up for everybody or try to ease your mind. I'm just having a conversation and messing with the cards while I do. So I'm just using my little mini Rider-Waite deck, and I'm just kind of shuffling as I talk. And as the cards fall out, I'm going to try to interpret some messages maybe that Spirit might be giving us. And I have the Moon so far and the Knight of Wands. And the Moon can generally indicate the unknown, or things that are veiled, or things that are secret, or intuition, the higher realms. The Knight of Wands can indicate taking action, feeling ambitious, feeling inspired. Feeling capable, feeling able and willing. Again, I feel like you know, we're not necessarily supposed to know everything that's going on in the world. We're not supposed to know what's coming around the bend. And sometimes that can be worrisome. Sometimes that can keep you up at night. Sometimes that can keep you wondering, will I be okay? Will I be all right? But I think it's important that we bear in mind that we are spiritual beings, and we're here for a reason. And I believe we're here to learn spiritual lessons and to grow and to become better people and better souls. And ultimately make things right in the world. I think that there are a lot of corrupt people and horrible things that are happening around us. And I think that a lot of times the people who are corrupt and who are doing bad things in this world depend on the victims, or those that end up experiencing the aftermath of whatever actions these people do. I think they depend on people's reactions to emulate fear and to spread fear, because fear allows them to control, right? If you can make somebody afraid and make them believe that somehow you have the power to make things right or make things better or fix things, then you have control over those people, because then they become dependent upon you. So I do believe that in cases like with this COVID-19 virus spreading around the world, that there are people taking advantage of the situation. And I do feel like sometimes the mainstream media, if not sometimes, all the time, feels like they're... What are you doing, Carmilla? She's hiking down my shirt. Purposely spread the fear. I mean, the other night I turned on NBC, and the entire, I think it was a 25-minute news report, nightly news, the whole thing was about the coronavirus. And I mean, let's face it, while it's a significant event in this world, and it's something we're all dealing with, it's not the only news that's out there. And there are positive things that are coming out of this experience. And sometimes I wish that we would just focus a little bit more on that, rather than, spreading the fear and spreading the uncertainty and the anxiety. And so I think that we can look at this as a challenge, and I think we can look at this as a learning experience, not just on an individual level, but as a collective. As humanity kind of looks towards finding answers where we can, find a cure and help people get well and get things back to normal. I'm sure there's plenty of people who are thinking that, staying at home is great and having some time off from work is great, but then when it sinks in that this could go on a little bit longer, and then the uncertainty of whether or not you can pay your mortgage or your rent or pay your bills or even buy groceries, when that kind of fear sets in, then it starts to get a little worrisome. So ultimately my goal would be to look at the bright side, look at the positive things that are coming out of this, and make a point to gain something out of it rather than feel like I'm always losing something or fearful of something or running away from something. So we had some cards that came out, and I just want to talk about these for a little bit because we have the Nine of Swords, Seven of Swords, King of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles in reverse. To me, these cards indicate being afraid, being scared, staying up at night, worrying. Will things ever be made right? Will we be able to fix this? Will we be able to recover? The King of Pentacles can indicate an individual who's feeling fearful or scared or incapable or insecure. And the Two of Pentacles in reverse can indicate losing balance, becoming unstable, unable to maintain, unable to keep things going, keeping those balls in the air, right? He's juggling the Two of Pentacles. So I do feel like that's how a lot of people are feeling. And of course, we're in a state of unknown, unrest, uncertainty, and that can be scary. But how do we decide to deal with that, and how do we decide to react to what's going on around us? I think that's really what the question is. So this could be looked at as a new opportunity for growth, new opportunities for finding creative solutions to problems, new opportunities to work together as a human race, to come together, to find answers, to help one another. Maybe we look at this as an opportunity to get unstuck from some of the things that we have been dealing with in the past, some of the ways that we work and live and run our world. Maybe it's time to look at things from a different perspective. I know that, there are reports in the news and, especially on things like social media, like Facebook and that kind of platform where you are seeing people come together to help one another and to make things better. Just today I was watching a little report about this company, and I think they were in Georgia. It was a bar, and they make alcohol, bourbon, gin, that kind of thing. And they started taking their supplies and making hand sanitizer and giving it out for free to people in the community, and especially first responder, people like firemen and policemen who don't necessarily have access to a bathroom and water and soap when they're out on the road, responding to emergencies and doing their job and that kind of thing. So it was one of those heartwarming and encouraging reports that made me think, you know what? This is the kind of thing that can make us better as a human race. And within our small communities, we can make things right. There's also this local organic tea company that I like to buy tea from, herbal teas, and things like chai tea and stuff. They make delicious tea. And it's a small local business. And of course, because of the uncertainty of the economy and people not being certain whether or not they're going to get their next paycheck, or whether or not it's going to be a whole paycheck or partial paycheck or any paycheck at all. I think people have cut back on spending money on things like that. And so this little local tea company decided to send out an email, words of encouragement, and I believe they offer discounts all the time on their products, but just send out a personal little email letting people know that they're still around and they're hoping that people are doing okay and that kind of thing. And they got this outpouring of response, and people ordered a bunch of tea. And so the owner, the lady who makes the tea, was filling out orders, and she decided to take some time to send out an email to her customers just to thank them and let them know that they were appreciative of the orders and that they were supportive of their community and appreciated the support from their customers. And I thought that was really nice. I thought that was exactly what we need to see in this day and age, when things are uncertain and maybe a little bit scary. It's the right thing to do. It's the right attitude to take. It's the right perspective. To look at this as an opportunity rather than something that we should be afraid of or worried about or concerned about. So I'm going to pull a Dreams of Gaia tarot card as I continue to talk. These cards tend to be, stop eating my glasses, Carmela. Honestly, you can't see her. And for those of you who are new to my channel, probably don't know, but this little bird causes me grief, as cute as she is. She's wandering around the table, and she's over here chewing on my glasses, and there she is, deciding to make her appearance. Anyway, let's pull a Dreams of Gaia tarot card or two and see what we can get out of my favorite deck of tarot cards, which I use typically at the end of my readings. See if we can't get any words of encouragement. I'm not going to make this a super long video, and I think this is probably long enough. This was totally a cold read, not something I had prepared for, so we'll see. I don't know if people are interested, but I thought I'd give it a try anyway and see if people were interested in getting some tarot cards pulled for basically the whole world, the collective, to see what we're all in for and what we can all do and how we can start to look at this a little differently. So I pulled the Four of Water, came out in reverse. And I pulled this card a lot lately, actually. Past few readings I've done, it's come out two or three times. So let's read this one. I may read another. We'll see what happens. And see if we can't get any advice from Spirit. Okay, again, it's a potential blockage if this shows up in reverse. So here we go. Let's see what this says. You are worthy and deserving of all that you dream of. But remember, so is everyone else. What if your joy comes at the expense of another person? Can you stand tall and proud and have respect for yourself if your happiness carries the price of another person's heartbreak or failure? Can you take genuine delight in your circumstances? Unintentional actions that cause hurt are one thing and can be forgiven, but what of the emotional consequence of an act done with awareness and intent? The Four of Water, when it appears reversed, cautions you against vanity, arrogance, selfishness, and self-importance, and symbolizes a need to look yourself in the eyes. And of course, you know, that can apply to what the immediate response to this situation was. A lot of people running to the stores and scooping up supplies that everybody needs. Some people trying to profit off of it, selling toilet paper, you know, after buying it off the shelf and selling it for inflated prices, hand sanitizer for, you know, whatever it was going on Amazon. I mean, you know, that's just ridiculous. So I guess we can look at it from that perspective, or we can look at it from a different perspective. Are you going to choose a path where you're selfish and arrogant and take for yourself, or are we going to look at this as an opportunity to help one another? Are you about to choose a path that leads to another's distress or downfall? If the answer is yes, be mindful of the fact that the universal law of cause and effect will hold court and sit in judgment as always. There will be a reward and consequence offered. If your choice is to continue forward knowing that you may bring emotional anguish to another, be sure that the reward is far greater than the price you may end up paying. If you are at a crossroads, don't do it. You still have the opportunity to answer no and have your actions reflect that choice. So there's one of my fabulous cards from my Dreams of Gaia tarot deck. I'm going to shuffle one more time and we'll see if we can't get anything else. Maybe some words of encouragement. I'm not sure that Spirit is willing to offer an answer. I mean, obviously, if we're going through this experience as a collective, we're meant to learn from it. I know some people look at this as this grand conspiracy where, you know, the bad guys are out to get us and decrease the population of the earth. There's those kind of theories going around, and I don't necessarily prescribe to any of them, and I don't adhere to any of them because I don't know. I'm not saying that I don't believe some of the conspiracies or wouldn't be willing to believe a conspiracy like that, but I'm also not willing to look at life in a negative light and dwell on the what ifs, especially if they're going to bring me down and make me feel bad. I prefer to look at life in a positive light and look at this as possibly an opportunity to grow and become a better person. And when circumstances allow it, I'd be willing to help people rather than, you know, hoard crap to myself. I don't have a shitload of stuff in my garage. I've got food for the next couple of weeks, and then I need to go to the grocery store again. So, while I don't look down upon people who do that, who are prepared for catastrophes or world events such as this, epidemics, pandemics that might affect us and force us to stay in our homes and stay safe, or, you know, whatever the circumstances may be. I don't disagree with people doing that. I used to be married, and the man I was married to was a prepper. And so we had the chickens in the backyard, and we had guns, and I had water and food stored. I had a garden in the backyard, and I was prepared to survive several years of a zombie apocalypse. After that relationship ended, I left without most of that stuff. So I can't say that I'm prepared for something like this, which for me is fine. I'll take what comes day by day, and hopefully, I'm going to take this card. Hopefully something positive will come out of this for me and for us, and I just choose to look at it in a different light at this point in my life. So emotions came out in the reverse. I'm going to read this card too. And then I think I'm going to close this little chit chat, this little reading. Hopefully you got something out of it. I just wanted to have a chance to kind of talk about this and see what the cards had to say, if anything at all. So this card did come out in reverse again, and it's number 19. 19? Yeah. And so give me a second here to look at it. And Carmel, please stop pulling my hair. You're driving me nuts. Stop. Okay, so again, it's a potential blockage if it's in the reverse. And this is a super long one. The potential blockage is about a page and a half. All right, here we go. When the emotion card appears reversed, it symbolizes the need to address the common symptoms of emotional repression in your life. Repressed emotions can have real and lasting impacts on the body, mind, and spirit. They can not only reduce the quality of your life and your relationships with others, but potentially even shorten your life. One of the most common signs of emotional repression is revealed in how you respond to the question, "How are you today?" Because we now esteem political correctness more than emotional honesty, most of us will smile and respond, "I am good." And you? Even if we are emotionally broken and crying on the inside. Emotional outbursts and emotional honesty are frowned upon. Emotional honesty and sensitivity are seen as weaknesses, while emotional outbursts are a symptom of losing control. But controlling our emotions is not healthy either. We experience our feelings for good reason, And when we repress our emotions in order to control what we feel, we are choosing to disconnect from ourselves. As a result, we may embrace behaviors that can have serious consequences to our minds, our spirits, and our bodies. Unfortunately, our feelings do not change or go away just because we want them to. While we can pretend not to feel, denying an emotion does not mean we are not feeling it. It simply means that we are ignoring it, which can be detrimental. There may be times when emotions need to be put aside, but they should never be ignored or invalidated. Overeating, drug and alcohol addiction, pretending or denying that an experience occurred, any type of compulsive behavior, including compulsive exercising, eating disorders, cutting, hiding in the fictional realities of computer games or books or television shows, working to excess, avoiding deep and meaningful conversations, and hiding behind a mask of peace, love, and light. All of these things are behaviors we may use to hide from our emotions. We can use these behaviors to hide from our emotions, but we cannot deny those emotions or control them. What we are feeling will find a way to be expressed, and if it does not do so through direct communication, it may manifest in our bodies and in our behavior. Several signs that you may be repressing emotions include overacting to minor issues, making external events and issues more important than personal subjects, intellectualizing and scorning emotions, brushing aside obvious disrespect or discourtesy and saying that it does not matter when it should and does, delayed emotional response, depression, anxiety, and stress. Physical signs include tension, especially in the jaw and mouth, and in the stomach, throat, and shoulders. If the emotions card appears reversed in your reading, it asks you for a little emotional honesty. Look within and determine if you are allowing yourself to feel, or if you are trying to control or deny your feelings. If it is the latter, now is the time to choose the healthy path of acknowledging, accepting, and allowing your feelings to flow. So, frankly, what I got from that is, especially in this day and age when we're all dealing with uncertainty and anxiety and fear to a certain extent, maybe it's important to express ourselves, to show those emotions, and to be supportive of one another when others are showing emotions or expressing the need to have some support, or just somebody to hear them, a shoulder to lean on, somebody that they can rely on. And I think it's also important for us to express our emotions and let people know how we feel and be honest with one another so that we can support one another in these kind of times. So I'm going to leave this here. Viewers, I hope that you enjoyed that. I will get back to my regular weekly readings tomorrow, starting with Aries. So I appreciate you watching. I hope you got something out of this. For me, it just allowed me to get something off my chest and to express myself and talk a little bit about something that's going on with all of us today. So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.